A 16-4 thrashing on the T side there, delivered by the Renegades themselves over Splyce. My name is Trey Stunnis-Arethis. I'm here at the Xfinity Analyst Desk, of course, in the Intel Esports Arena. We're going to try to break this thing down. I'm here with my analytical crew in Vendetta and Pimp. Now, guys, probably not a whole lot to take away from this one, other than you just got the floor scraped. What happened?
I mean, Moses said it pretty well, the destruction of Splyce. I didn't think we saw anything from them at all, positive-wise. None stepped up. Exotic had a pretty bad game. Splyce themselves had a pretty bad game, and I think we pretty much saw what we expected.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a sad part, because at least we were, kind of portraying it as, we were hoping, we were kind of portraying our, building it up to the point where maybe Exotic, continues his good form. Maybe the four others can get into the groove of things. But this was just, from start to finish, is one-sided affair from start to finish. Like, they never had any legitimate shot at actually getting a hold of the game. This first round they win in the first half on their CT side. They get immediately reset after. So at that point, the entire half is just gone pretty much for them, because they haven't really been able to establish themselves at any given point. So what do you do if you're Splyce in that scenario? Whatever you try to throw out in terms of aggression doesn't work, and you just stand there clueless.
Clueless is not the place to be. Go ahead, Pimp.
Yeah, that was just the whole point. It seems like it was misplaced aggression. Whenever they tried to be aggressive, it was like more like sometimes you do it because you know that you need to be aggressive to do something, and sometimes you just do it because you need to do something. Like you're out of
you don't really have a
control.
Plan behind it. You
exactly.
Just
do it because you think to yourself, like, this is not working. We have to do something about this. So there's no plan behind it, and it just seemed meaningless to the entire game basically. And Splyce, again, it's not acceptable for them to come in and show this showing. It is their Champions League. It is their only place to show them and show us what they're actually capable of, and then they come in like this, being lackluster throughout the entire game is just not okay.
I mean, it is extraordinarily flat-footed and very underwhelming on the side of Splyce for it to have turned out this side. Obviously, it's hard to get things rolling when you have players such as Jacob putting in tons of rounds downrange. We could kind of take a look at some of his highlights here throughout this matchup. Since his addition to this lineup, I feel as though Renegades are starting to find that rhythm again. I know there was a lot of speculation about, hey, is this going to be a good fit? Is it not going to be a good fit? Is it long-term? I don't even think the Renegades knew if it was long-term.
Yeah,
but so far, it's looking pretty good.
Pretty damn awesome, if I might say so. And it's kind of funny, because we talked so much, put so much emphasis on the fact that it is Naf leaving the team, right? And he, for all intents and purposes, is a top 5 player as of right now in terms of form, right? In the world. And obviously losing a player like that should mean the majority of your firepower from the team has just crumbled. You don't really have anywhere to go. But I think it was, as I said in an interview pretty recently, the fact that, weirdly enough, yes, Jacob is not playing to the same level as Naf. Obviously, that's a pretty hard thing to do as of right now. But he filled a lot of gaps, or a lot of voids that they had even with Naf. Not necessarily, obviously, from a fragging point of view, but just like in terms of how he fit within the team, what kind of roles he likes to play, what kind of positions he likes to play, that made it easier for the 4 others to kind of showcase their best side of themselves. And obviously, it's obviously more beneficial for the team if you have 5 people working on all cylinders instead of just one going off and kind of just trying to save the day.
Saving the day is a tall order for anyone that's having been tasked that much. Now, a 16-4 showing here with Renegades over Splyce is not exactly a show of force that's going to get this next team through IEM Sydney. But, of course, Renegades will be there. Let's take a look at IEM Sydney.
We have ever had. We'll never forget Australia, never forget Australia. It's just beautiful.
And of course, seeing Chad Sponge Birchill, the man himself there behind the mouse and keyboard. I'm going to say it gives me a little bit of feels, guys. It really is something magical they're doing down there on the other side of the planet.
Should never happen again.
What, the feels or Chad on the mic?
Behind the monitor, right?
Never again. Let's go into depth about Chad and his entire life. I think this is a great time for it because, on the heels of IEM Sydney, this is definitely a guy to bring character to that.
For sure, and the event itself, I wasn't there to experience myself, but watching from home, it was probably one of the best events ever to experience. You know, as a viewer, the crowd was insane, the whole build around it, the tournament itself was insane.
The shoeys
were insane. Everything was just
was there.
insane, we can say. And Chad, obviously, great to be home, and he, as you said, he's one of the big characters within the scene now. So it's good to have an event in his home country as well, where he's able to enable that audience to its full potential. And,
and if he's not going to do it, then obviously Renegades coming home to basically home turf to showcase their skill when they're actually in good form, right? Like they're actually showcasing good results. As you said, they're starting to make it to playoffs in pretty much every tournament they attend, and vying with the best teams in the world. That's obviously going to be super exciting for any Australian who wants to take the trip out there, which they should.
Now, all things considered, I do believe we will also be seeing our first Asian team there from the league that's kicking off.
Yeah, that could be very well right. I'm assuming that might be Tai Lu.
There's
Just
a chance.
A slight chance. Although, we did see MVP PK at Starladder do some pretty all right things. So.
Also playing in Visk right now, doing pretty well for himself. So there's a chance,
Yeah.
There's a chance. But is there a chance for Splyce on Train? Let's go ahead and bring it back full circle now and talk a little bit about this map that we do have coming into our hands here. Splyce, unfortunately for themselves, not finding very much success at all in cash and really being on the underside of the ball, rolling downhill, or I should say stone. Can we expect anything different going into this next map of Train?
I think it's fair enough to expect a little bit better of a showing because, again, as you said, it was very flat-footed from start to finish from Splyce, and it's going to be hard to do much worse. And it might seem harsh, but that's just kind of the reality of the situation for them. One issue for me is obviously the fact that in the first map you had JKS, you had JChem, the riflers of this Renegades team playing very well for themselves. And even though Nifty had, highlight-worthy stuff with the, the run boost into a double kind of thing, he didn't necessarily have the biggest impact in that game. It wasn't exactly needed, but going into Train, obviously much more lenient towards ops, or they do play a more proficient role than they do necessarily on cash, which I think is going to build for more problems for Splyce. Exotic having a really rough game on cash. Yes, he could have the opportunity to kind of get into this into things more so on Train, but he's going to have to go up against a pretty formidable Opera in Nifty.
I definitely agree with that sentiment. I think that the one leap of faith I have in Splyce, maybe making a match out of this, is that T-side could be a little bit more poggy and could maybe catch Renegades off guard, and that's what we need to see from them. They need to play a little bit more loose and just let Roka go out and do Roka stuff, and hopefully have one of those games where he just kills people to a difference than
It
we
would
just
be a
saw.
difference from cash.
Exactly, and just like go out there and try something, because what we saw from Cash, you said it pretty well. We can't see anything worse, so I expect more from Splyce, and less than 5 rounds would be absolutely another disaster for them.
A mark for success. Perhaps they make
Set the
reservations
bar
at
low,
Chili's.
and you always jump over,
Yeah, I mean, just go for it, because ultimately at this point you have nothing but up to go in terms of Train. Now, guys, we don't see much difference here. If I have to put you in a position where you give a prediction to the viewer at home, do you change where you stand?
I would put my entire saving on Renegades to win this one.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd hop in on that as well.
I want you to please look in the camera when you say that. I would love for that to happen. No. All right, fair enough. But you heard it here first. Pimp putting it all on the line, and by all, I mean everything that he's ever earned in his entire life is on the Renegades at this point. And with that, to bring us the action as we go into Train here, of course, Splyce and Renegades will be that second map in the series. Will be my friends to the right, who maybe took a little refresher. How was your break?
It was good. I just had a very chewy piece of candy, and I'm not quite sure I'm ready to go.
It's kind of everything sticking together.
Yeah, it's a bit, gummed up.
Gummed up.
Yep. How you doing, Harry?
I'm doing good. I'm willing to take that bet, actually. I would, everything I have in my bank account right now, I'll go on Splyce. You'll be inheriting some student debt.
Great.
Yeah, are you willing
Must
to
be
go
nice.
on record with how much that is? Like, how much do you stand to lose here?
I mean,
15 euros plus minus?
I'm just looking at how much I have to gain, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
probably why
That's
I have so many
important.
financial woes in the first place.
You
But,
came in
yeah.
this week feeling very confident. I like that change. Yeah, map 2. It's going to be Train, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard them talking about Train. I mean, certainly when you come in and you hear them talking, the only chance Splyce has is if Roka just goes out and kills people. That's not a great thing to have to hang your hat on after that first map.
No, not really. I mean, but like, what else can you really look to, right? Like, I mean, it was a very weak performance. I don't think Splyce can be happy with it whatsoever. Like, I know that they should have got more rounds than that. And I think if they can get the economy rolling on their CT side, perhaps get the double AWP setup out with Semphis and Exotic picking it up, and Exotic can actually kind of not be just tilted off the face of the earth from map number 1.
He did get wrecked pretty early on, and
Yeah.
that happens really with young players. Is they need to get a very good start to continue to have a very good half. So, yeah, that's certainly something that he's going to have to work with in this map, especially is get off on the right foot. But you know, so is all of Splyce. Remember, we saw that damage graph at the end. I don't know if it was at the end of the game overall. It might have been, but certainly at one point towards the end, no one on Splyce was over like 56 damage per round, which is just can't happen.
That was at halftime, and yeah, that's unreal. They're gonna be hoping for a better start here, Jason, and they might get off to it. They're over on the T side, and early on, aggression over here towards A. Davies over in main. Renegades have set up with 3 players into this B bomb site, but JKS is getting a lot of information for free here. No one there to actually test him. That's now facilitated the rotation in from Azza and Ustillo, and now suddenly there's 4 players for Renegades inside of this bomb site.
Well, T-side train isn't always the best with which to rebound from a ugly performance. We'll see if they can do it. At the moment, Jacob is blocked off by smoke. Fire to the right. They're going to attack this outside bomb site. One flashbang over Jacob. Oh, the spam! He just gets lucky. And unlucky for Exotic. We just mentioned he had to have a good start, but Nifty gets taken down. A drive-by as Roka comes out of the smoke. The bomb is at least being planted, and trades across the way so far seem pretty favorable, pretty nice for Splyce. Jacob's going to put an end to that with his second kill, and now Davey, they should know where he is, and he gets dropped instantly. 3 kills for Jacob. And that'll be a plant at least for Splyce, so they could go for that 3rd round bye, but it's going to be the pistol round for Renegades. They've now won 3 pistol rounds of the 3 that we've seen played in these 2 maps.
Yeah, no, really, a couple of key frags coming in from Jacob. I think pretty unreal. That first shot through the smoke was pretty nuts, and here are the last 2 I think he gets, which, you know, he's feeling it right now, with good reason after the previous map. Can't say I blame him.
The tough part is, like, if you ever want to feel bad for Splyce, it might just be that 1 kill. I mean, it was evenly traded into a 2-on-2. If Jacob doesn't just get a little bit lucky with a blind shot through the smoke, that round could have gone in the favor of Splyce. So tough for them, tough break. Had a lot of those across cash. And they are going to go for the 3rd round buy-up, so saving virtually everything. Flashbangs and P250s purchase up. See what they're going to get towards that inner bomb site. Ustillo is actually forced away with a FAMAS, which is unfortunate. Seemed like that should have been an easy situation for him to handle. He does have support from Azza, but they've done good damage, and as long as Ustillo doesn't die, he can really do no wrong. Here it comes. All 5 players in these box halls. Flashbang to go over. Ustillo throws that smoke just at the right moment. But he can't stop them, so Azza's got to push forward, and there he goes. And actually, great trades. 3-on-3 now. Still a very small chance Splyce actually win this. Although JKS, that's a great transfer. Put himself in a tough situation, and the nades ringing in onto the young guy. Exotic, he's doesn't have too long to live. But that plant is going to help out immensely into the next round. You would imagine that UMP on Nifty might get traded out for the FAMAS that fell towards upper ramp, so they can have another long-range rifle. They're going to have a lot of AKs and a lot of nades to deal with in this next round, which is great for Splyce.
Yeah, no, they're going to have a lot to work with. The scary thing for me still is JKS is clearly feeling it. You know, I mean, he's had some unreal clips over on Cash, and now he looks to keep that going here early on. Admittedly, this was versus an Eco, so, you know, not too amazing, but there's still time for him to really start to prove himself. And actually, interestingly, Splyce going to go AKs across the board. No AWP out early on onto Exotic. And, well, they have got a lot of utility to play with here. Their buy does look better than that of Renegades, but it's aggression early on into Pop Dog from Azza and JKS.
And you'd hope that this 5 AK setup is just kind of a product of wanting to have all the nades versus some kind of Exotic not feeling good on the AWP. But we'll see. Could be used for an execute. They still have all the nades out. Initial defense looking good. Ustillo and Azza being aggressive towards the inner bomb site. Not pushing into the halls, but just both playing around the bomb train. So when did they get the call to cheat one outside? Minute and 10 seconds remaining. And Nifty's going to go investigating.
Has to check the right angle, and Davey is going to find him. So Nifty's gone down. That's the FAMAS lost for Renegades. And That's going to put the pressure on these players over here at B. You can already see Azza kind of flirting with the idea of rotating around, and now he will. That leaves this B bomb site all in the hands of Ustilo, but Jacob's gone aggressive, and he doubles down, so you think it's a good start for Splyce, and straight away, Renegades will take ground back. Finally, Exotic's going to be there to trade, but now it's Azza on the bomb trade to try and turn the tide. He's going to go down as well. The JKS here is going to make all the difference. Catches Exotic off guard, and a second as well. So said how he was feeling it, and that couldn't hold more true there as he wins out that 1 versus 2 while the other player left was still rotating around. Locks in a third for Renegades, and now there's no money once again for Splyce.
The great thing about that kind of a play as well is Ustilo was pushing up towards inner. He was about to come down ladder as well. So even if that kill gets traded, there's really no chance Roka thinks that the second player or the last player is coming out of ladder room as well. So kind of setting up a sort of a bait to lure Splyce into thinking that it was going to be all clear. Molotov into that main choke point. Plenty of Splyce players huddled up here. Flashbang from Davey going to come out any second as soon as that fire dissipates, and then they'll just see what it can get them. Nifty turns from it. He's not blind. Around the edge of the smoke, a double kill for him. They lined up. Not even sure he saw it, but he still continues his tear. Great headshot, but can't handle Davey. Last one remaining does eventually go down. 4th round for Renegades, and they swap out the MP9 for the M4 that was dropped.
And I feel like right now, you know, here's a fun fact of the day that you wouldn't have known. Roka is actually the name of a company that makes toilets in the UK and Australia. And I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere.
There is definitely a joke in there. There is most definitely a joke in there.
You know, that's fine. Roka, he's got everything he could possibly need in this round along with the rest of the team. The AWP's out for Nifty though, and this is where things could get bad for Splyce. You never know. Haven't really seen how that's going to affect Renegade's default here. Nifty this time is over here towards this B bomb site. JKS once again posted up down in Pop Dog, and we've actually seen it's kind of coming back to me now in some awful flashbacks of Semphis and Pop Dog. They have a very love-hate relationship going on, so he's going to be trying to take control of this. Last time we saw them play Train, it was an area he really struggled in. This time he kind of has the rest of the team nearby to help out. But they're not going to go for it. Instead, 4 players over here towards B. And that now leaves the pressure on the shoulders of Ustilo.
Smoke's going to help him deal with that kind of a pressure. So will the aggression in towards ladder room. JKS has that. He'll have a fast flank, and Alza just rotating back in. Can he get here in time? He's got it. They're about to turn the corner. Ustilo's pushed up, hide himself away, using the cover of the Molotov, but never checks to his right. So much for Renegades to recover from. And 2 kills come in very quickly. No flank coming in, and yeah, this might be a round Renegades doesn't even want to fight for. 5 on 3. Splyce looking to get on the board much earlier than on Cash, and Nifty needs to back away before he loses that op. Trying to get lucky, but that smoke is going to fade any second now, and he's got to make sure he can fall back. So much time has gone down in this clock, and yeah, there goes Nifty. I'm not sure why Renegades are sticking around this long for the fight. They're about to just lose everything. Davey going to check, make sure there's no sneakiness going on, and that was a good idea. Jacob does get the kill. Now he's got to fight his way out, find Semphis on top of the train. There it is, the first one on the board for Splyce. They survive with 3.
And this is good. They've started to get some momentum behind them early on. They've picked up a round here, and the economy for Renegades is actually right on the brink of being reset. So they're going to feel quite confident in this fact that if they get this round, at least we can start to see them chain a couple together. And that was something they physically never did on Cash. I mean, well, they did in the second half, but at that point it was 15-1, and they managed to get like 2 in a row, which wasn't really anything to write home about. This time it might.
Let's just forget Cash ever happened, Harry.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to look involved. Well, Nifty. Ooh, the leg shot. Now he's got to fight his way out, but he's got Jacob there to back him up, clean up Roka. Davey, meanwhile, has gotten a kill onto Azza. So equal trades across the map. Semphis being very wary of aggression as well. Splyce with just around a minute and 5 seconds are going to change their course. Back to the inner bomb site, it seems they go. There is JKS in ladder room. And Ustillo push it up a ramp with an off angle of that UMP. So the question is, when does Renegades realize what's happening? Looks like Jacob is starting to probe for information in towards Team Mid. Yeah, now they've got the read. Now everyone is rotating inside. Falling back from ladder room, they want to get in there quick. Nifty is here with the AWP to be able to peer over any smokes that come down. It's the flashbangs that will hinder him. And Ustillo, if they don't clear him out of this upper position, he'll just be a nuisance.
Nifty's already opened up, and now more players coming his way. They're not going to account for Ustillo, who still resides up above, but Nifty shutting them down, in with a third. He wants to try and find the fourth. Davey has slipped on through this smoke. And a first deal with Jacob, but now Nifty holds down the angle, does manage to retreat away. And just, giving Davey a run for his money. Caught out in the open. Davey has to watch out. Missed shot from Nifty. Davey being toyed with. There's only 7 seconds left, and he's got no time. They're going to wait to run that clock down. Davey, luckily enough, actually just going to fall before it hits 0. Nifty going to pick up a 4th in that round to lock in a 5th round there for Renegades. And that's pretty worrying. Nifty was looking very crisp there.
He didn't even take a point of damage through all that. He just outgamed Davey in a big, big way with the mobility. That was quite cool to watch. Just getting himself in a better position to allow Ustillo to help him out. Meanwhile, Splyce not able to string 2 together on the T side. Going to be back onto pistols. They have some money built up, because remember, they did win their first round, 3 players surviving. It's just not able to scrape together anything solid into this round. Renegades, meanwhile, have taken some losses. Have to be careful in this round. Not to lose too many. At the moment, as normal towards Ivy, it's just kind of a waiting game. Who can stall the other one out the longest?
Now boosting Roker over the top here. Nifty's going to flash himself in. Has to be careful. Oh, that is wonderful. Roker's gone down. Nifty's going to go back for more. He's not done yet. USP out. Gonna get a second. And Exotic still resides down here at Ivy. Nifty desperately trying to find himself the rifle to juggle it away. Where has it gone? Nifty's just as confused as I am. He's got no clue. And Davey's going to go down. Nifty onto a 3rd. Wants to try and find a 4th, but this time Exotic is finally able to trade. Sempis will fall, and now Exotic has the AWP in hand. He has armor. This isn't that bad for him. They know exactly where he is. Azza looking like he wants to try and tempt fate, perhaps going with the peek at Exotic. 35 seconds left to work with, and we've been bigging him up a lot. Now he looks to try and show us his worth. He's in with a 2nd. Ustillo on the flank is going to shut him down and find the trade. A little bit of damage done, but that will be it for him. That was lovely from Nifty.
That was real cool to watch, wasn't it? Even the USP in his hands is a bit of an AWP on a drone in the follow-up. 6-1. Sempis going to go down to the CZ just to help get some nades for his team, so he'll be playing more of a support role in this round. All 5 players in Team Mid for Splyce. When you start to see things like this, start to feel like they're running low on ideas, which is quite scary this early on, but JKS is going to love it. Ustillo looked like he was in great position. He does get a dink, but certainly now Splyce is being punished for their insolence, and great shot from Nifty. Exotic is the last one alive with that AP. 1 on 2. He knows where Nifty is. Jacob hasn't been spotted, although if he hits tab and realizes it's Jacob, should know that he's been playing Ivy for most of this game, going back towards pistol round, so should have some kind of indication that he's out here in this train yard. And he just has no clue what's going on, and now they know exactly where he is as well. Nifty has just baited him into the arms of Jacob, and when does he pounce? Just now. Does he want to switch into the double up? Yes, he does. Great job from Renegades.
Yeah, now for Splyce, it is back to the drawing board. They're going to be partial buying into this one. They had both the AWPs picked up, but interestingly enough, Renegades have elected to just go for the 1, and actually not even sure where that second AWP does reside. But going to be holding with Azza on this MP9 up close here. Over by the ramp, a chance for him to make some money. Spots a lot of players there on that peak. He's got Ustillo here to back him up. The smoke can go down from Splyce, and That'll help facilitate the play. The flash can follow up as well. And actually, now they've caught out Azza. Now they're going to go for this. He still has been flashed back. He's able to get one. JKS is here on the rotation. And do they continue running into the maws of Renegades? They will. Exotic's going to go down. Semphis and Davey left. And they're going to drop into pop. Jacob's still on the bomb train to try and put a stop to the madness. And there's 55 seconds left. Splyce, they've slowed right down.
At least get the kill onto Azza. He really wanted them to run right into his SMG to get all that bonus money, but they're able to kind of avoid that circumstance. And now it's Jacob at E-Box. No one's watching his back, so if they just wander out ladder room, although he does check it at the right moment, the timing is with him. Maybe next up. He's the last to fall. It's feeling like a deja vu here on Train from Cash. Certainly we were optimistic that this could be a better map for them. Haven't really gotten started quite yet. 8-1. These last few rounds they've played with pistols, so now we get to see them with the rifles in their hands once again.
Yeah, Splyce, they really have to try and find something soon, though. 8-1, as you said, looking like and feeling like a repeat of the previous map almost now. He still is going to try his hand at aggression. He's feeling confident. Semphis holding down the angle.
He won't peek this. He's setting up a weird crossfire, an off-angle crossfire. Oh, there's the peek. He did it a little bit early, although Nifty, yeah, you wanted to bait him into the shot of Nifty and then peek out when all the attention is down towards A ramp with the Yopper. So he still loses his nerve a little bit, and he's going to fall away.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, they're just going to leave Nifty here solo with the AWP. Does leave the pressure on him, but he has been feeling good. He's going to look to try and hold it close like a shotgun while Splyce. Initially, like they're setting up into A, they throw in a whole bunch of smokes, and that will keep these 4 players here for Renegades. But they're not following up with anything just yet, and this is going to cause them some problems. Now they look to try and go through, but there's not much time left on these smokes now as a result. JKS and Azza have opened up. You're still going to go in with one more, and it all falls onto Exotic and Davey. They are going to start to pull things back. Exotic in with a second now. It's a one-on-one. Exotic, the AWPer for Splyce, currently on the rifle. Nifty, the AWPer for Renegades. Locked in to this clutch fight. Exotic, he's fallen out of favor with A. He's going to get rotating into the B-bomb site. Nifty has rotated around, so he's left it open. The bomb plant can come in from Exotic, and he's going to have time to work his way into an after plant. Bomb goes down, he plants it for the aggressive angle, and now starts to rotate up into the halls.
Nifty didn't have the timing there. Exotic disappeared into the smoke towards ladder room before Nifty even got in position to really search for him. So this is going to be tough, and I'm not sure Nifty... He has a Molotov, so he could drop that at the upper ramp and just go for the defuse and try and stick it, and that might be his only play that he's got, yeah. Stick it here. No, he's going to go for the peek, and Exotic not running through the flames. Playing a bold game, taking the risk, but it's going to pan out. Now Nifty just has to bail out, and he's going to get, not killed. And they're both just going to run. Nifty might just die with the explosion. Actually, everyone does. The whole server goes down, all 10 players. So a second round for Splyce now, but no chance of building money. No reprieve from this. This happened in the first map as well. They won a round with 0 players surviving, and then it's like, great, we won, but you know, we're back onto SMGs, we're back onto Galils, we're going to be hurting in our nade count. Although equally, Renegades are strapped for cash. 3 UMPs for them.
That's the one thing to take away, at least for Splyce, is that this time there isn't just an abundance of money for Renegades. They too are hurting in terms of the economy. The kind of one breakthrough they've got is the AWP up on Nifty. He's gone over there towards A. He's still peeking up the ramp early on. Does spot a couple of players, and that's now pulled in the rotation from Azza. It's a little bit tricky because they can't hold the connector anymore. With the 3 SMGs in play, they have to kind of take it close, and that now has meant you're denied that fast rotation between either one of the sites. Usually you kind of have that rifle player sitting pretty down in the connector angle. JKS at least taking control of Pop Dog, and you're still going to be lying in wait up on the rafters. Splyce setting up, playing to this B-bomb site early on at least. And JKS is going to be there very quickly in the back line at when they go for this play.
Well, the last couple times we've seen him in this position, he's actually chosen not to go for the flank, so this might be the one he pounces. Last time Ustila was in this position, they didn't clear him out, and he was able to stay up there. And again, he just peeks when he hears about the utility coming through. Nifty needs to help his teammate out, and he does. 2 kills for him on the op. Exotic does pick him out of the sky. Ustila turns at the wrong moment, gets taken down, but everything going in Renegade's favor, and Ozza's just going to clean it up. So again, a reset. Splyce still kept away from winning 2 in a row. That was the round they needed, and now it's back onto... Without a plant, could be a double save, but if they want to get a plant in this round, it almost feels like they have to invest. Renegades with a chance to have just a very, very dominant opening half again.
Yeah, it has been very dominant indeed. And, you know, I mean, one thing to kind of take note of, and this is something I feel like has happened since Naf left, is before, in my mind, it used to just be like Naf was the star, and like you kind of had Nifty who was there to reinforce it. But now it feels like we're in a situation almost like what happened with Mousesports when Nico left, is it's like Naf has undoubtedly improved Liquid. And I think Renegades are maybe faring a bit better because it's given more room to players like JKS, Azza, and Jacob to really kind of start to do well. He still kind of, it looks like he struggles with inconsistency a bit, at least at the events I've seen him at. Because like when he's feeling it, he's really good, but then he'll kind of have like periods of really struggling. But I do love watching him, especially kind of JKS starting to find his footing once again and become someone who does put up these numbers. But here's Jacob, the new Norwegian to this team, holding off over here towards Popdog. Players coming his way, going to get caught off guard and overwhelmed. And, well, Nifty's here to pick up the pieces. Oh, there's all 4. Okay, Nifty has rained down depth. Wants to try and get the ace, and will Davey give it to him? No, he's going to actually pull it back. 1v2. Okay, now a 1 versus 1. JKS tagged down and out in the open, but JKS finds it. What a weird round, the back and forth. But ultimately, Renegades find themselves a 10th.
Yeah, Jacob gets caught not peering too deep, not getting all the information, not being able to spot that left wall of Ivy. They were up close before he was ready for it, and thank God Nifty is able to recover like that. He had to spin around very quickly before Splyce was able to swarm anything. So that round was on a knife's edge, but a good one for Splyce. As we kind of get into the later stage of this half, the economy's not going to matter too much down the stretch, but still limiting what they can have moving forward. Ozza didn't even have any nades into this round, so all the damage that Splyce can do with the Deagle, with the P250, with some of the utility they bought, any kills that go their way is going to be beneficial. They need every advantage they can get to try and make this, try and even get up to 4 rounds. It's going to be a tough second half, if not. And he's still, again, aggressive towards upper, and he's getting so much information, and Splyce has never really cleared him out of this position, which has been kind of deadly for them. Roka and Davey just going to fall away from Whitehalls. And now that they've given up the information that anyone could possibly be pushing there, they have to kind of move forward to this execute pretty quickly. You can't just allow time for someone from Renegades to get feeling bold and go for a flank.
Azza and Nifty, they're both battening down the hatches here on main. They're not going to let anyone through anytime soon. That's what the smokes do now, rain in to try and cancel out. And it's the wall of smokes down on the site. JKS is going to get boosted over by Nifty, and it's going to go down at the hands of Exotics. They've made it a 4-on-4. They keep pushing forward. Exotics in with a second kill. The bomb plant will come in. And Exotic still holding the push in. Going to find himself 1v3. Going to grab one more. Now he's in pop, has an M4 to work with. Nifty and Azza left to try and overcome. Exotic been bigging him up a hell of a lot. They're both going to start pushing in towards him. Takes the peek, they line up, but Azza's going to get the trade. And Renegades will be in an 11th round. Exotic comes so close to getting an utterly ridiculous clutch, but ultimately it is just snatched away from there as Azza locks in that 11th round for Renegades.
Yeah, he really did, and Renegades lost track of him. That's the second time they've kind of lost track of Exotic in those kind of situations. They didn't even consider the fact that he could have been in ladder room, so almost gave one away. 11-2, and this is what I was talking about. More kills come out, so you can see Ozza still hurt in terms of what he can buy. You still are down to the UMP. It's not much, but it's something that you can work with. Surely Splyce is going to be content with that kind of an advantage, and they still have the money so low for the Renegade side that yeah, it's going to be a buy no matter what into the last round if Splyce were to win this. what they'll actually be able to afford will be very little. So maybe the last chance that Splyce has to bring some hope into the second half.
And once again, looks like they're going to set up for this A play. Can't say I blame them. Had a decent bit of success out here towards this A bomb. It's like whenever we have seen them go for it in that previous round, really solidifying that decision. JKS is still over in Pop Dog, and he has caused some problems for them in the past. Now this time, waiting to see if any aggression comes out early on now. They've lined up the smokes and flashes ready to go in. The only difference being there's 4 players here for Renegades who still is going to be hot on their heels with the rotation around, and so they have to find these opening kills. And already the smoke's gone down in main. That is perfect as Azza drops that one in. It's denied display, and they have to just flash on through, but they're going in blind. Semphis able to get one. JKS starts to answer back. Semphis is going to be able to find him. Jacob falls as well. Nifty. Just going to go down. Semphis in with a big triple kill. It all falls on Eustillo. 1v3. Don't know he's here just yet. Semphis has been spotted. The bomb plant's going to come on in, and Exotic finds him right at the end. So between them, Semphis and Exotic get all 5 of those kills, locking in a 3rd round for Splyce, and now they've reset the economy for Renegades.
Yeah, finally, like I said, it wasn't going to have the biggest impact down the stretch just because it's so late in the half that they finally break the money for Renegades, but it certainly should help them get some kind of a window for the second half. And then with Seaside Train, you truly sometimes never know what's going to happen, especially in the North American region. We see a lot of teams get bogged down on the T side. It's just very curious to watch Splyce do 5-man hits out that team main, making it work that round. Didn't work the first time, but here with the pistols. Ooh, Davy's feeling bold, and Azza's going to wander right into it. Close up as well. Pretty easy shot, all things for Davy. Maybe a little bit caught off guard initially. Double op set up as well, as Exotic has one. And he's right above ladder. Davy waiting for more aggression from Renegades.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to give it to him just yet. Nifty is actually sticking around, though, and starts to peek into this. He has quick shot. Going to miss that one up onto Nifty. Nifty sticks around. There is the flash in. Does delay the play for the time being. They're taking control over it towards Ivy. Jacob does still lie in wait there, though, and JKS looking like he maybe wants to try heading on in. Davy has to check close. The flash rains through, but Davy's going to shut him down. And the no-scope. Davy's in with 3. Not conventionally an AWP, but he's making it work. Jacob's going to fall over at Ivy, and now it's all onto Eustillo. 1v5, and Drone will finish things off. An 11-4 half, still much in favor of Renegades, but a nice recovery there from Splyce in the end, and a potential now, if they win the pistol, to haul this one back to a pretty respectable scoreline.
I think that's the key. That's the big difference. At least Splyce doesn't do great in terms of the amount of rounds that they bring forward, but what they at least have, what they didn't in cash, is some kind of hope for the second half, is some kind of opportunity to come back into this. So 4 rounds, it's not great, but it's going to give you that chance, right? Even if you lose pistol, you can maybe return the second round. Even if you win the 4th, you can go on some kind of run. So it does buy you the smallest of opportunities. And here we are with the stats. Remember, in the first map, Splyce, no one was above 56 ADR. Here we've got Exotic and Davy really picking things up. Davy obviously with a very big last round of that half with the AWP, but it's Nifty doing well, JKS as well. Jacob and Azza have kind of fallen off from cash, but not bad overall.
Yeah, no, it is looking good. As you said, Davy and Exotic, they're kind of the 2 really stepping up. Semphis, he's still struggling a little bit, but it was him who found those key few frags in the round that kind of kick-started this for Splyce. So, all in all, kind of comes down to this pistol round here. And Splyce managed to win it, then there's a good chance that they can forge the comeback. They have that crucial bit of hope to hold on to. As we head into this one, it is going to be the case that Davy's got the smoke and the kit. Everyone else has armor across the board. And for Renegades, they've gone for a flash on a Nifty smoke as well. That's going to go out early on over here towards A. So that suggests they're just going to try heading in fast, and that's exactly what they'll do. JKS been able to find Drone. That's going to leave Semphis open, and as it does get rid of him, rotations coming through, but they've already been denied. Exotic's gone down. And it is just Davey and Roka left. 2 versus 4. Davey's going to get rid of you still, but he still has players heading his way. Now he's in with a second. He's been the man who has been driving things home for Splyce, and he looks to try and make this round that much more difficult for them. Roka now sneaking into the back line. Davey's been found. It all falls onto Roka, and Nifty's going to double down at the end. So Renegades, they find the pistol. Now they look to stomp out any resistance that Splyce throw their way. That's
all 4 pistol rounds going to Renegades. I think Nifty even closed it out there with 2 one-taps right at the end. So really cool stuff from him. Has a very solid series so far. So that small window of opportunity has closed ever so slightly. And Ozza with the AK-47 not going to shy away from a fight, but crouches and commits to it. And actually 2 quick kills for the Deagles. Renegades left to try and recover, and they're doing so nicely. Roka with 15 HP somehow adds another one, but there's still continuous trades all across the map as each team tries to respond. JKM and Nifty finally going to slow things down, or I say slow things down, but they're just going to readjust to a new area. Roka spotted 1. He's got 5 HP, did not want to take that fight into the open, but he knows what's coming. And Jacob, that might be the game changer, although Roka's been forced out through the smoke. Nifty just going to spam. Nice work from Renegades. That'll be the bomb down, and Exotic still has a chance. Great headshot. Bomb planted, and it's Nifty. The 2 young guns of each team. The 2 oppers of each team. And Nifty's disappeared behind the smoke, and it's Exotic's turn this time to be confused. The bomb timer still ticking away, and Exotic has to go for this, but with no kit. He's taking his time. Cleared out the bomb site. There's the peek from Nifty. There's the frag from Exotic, and he just knows, I believe, that he just can't get the defuse, but actually maybe he just has plenty of time. I don't have the beeps going on in my ear, so.
Yeah, no, he does have time to get it. It's all good. Exotic's locked it in. Took a little bit of time. I got a bit worried when he didn't go for it straight away, but no, yeah, he's looking good. Now that's going to be Splyce now stealing around at straight back. That's fantastic for them.
Some weird commits, though. Some weird fight selection from Renegades. Like, just for instance, that last one from Nifty could have played the bomb much, much better in that scenario. But also Ozza taking that first peek out towards the outer train yard and just kind of crouching, spraying, and committing to that fight. Don't need to be doing that in a 5-on-5, especially in a zone where frequently there's nade stacks. Frequently there's going to be multiple players swinging wide with Deagles, as we just saw. But Splyce, again, buying themselves a lifeline.
Yeah, this time around there's a genuine shot at success as opposed to just delaying the inevitable. Currently 7 rounds between them and Renegades. Xemphis holds early on over here in Pop, and there are 4 players up above him. If he listened, of course, he could hear all 9 feet patting around. Yeah, it's going to be Renegades sending players over here towards B. Davey's watching from afar. Has Roka rotate around to try and help out. No peeking on in. 3 players there. That's too much for him to bear, but Roka's been able to go ahead and get 1 as it does trade back with the frag onto Davey, but Roka's still causing them problems. They're going to look to double peek into this. The timing's not great, but Roka's slipped by. As they're going to pick him up as he finds a second frag, and Splyce, they're desperate to cling onto this round. Luckily enough, Xemphis has pulled it back into their favor. You still are going to cause some problems for them, but it all falls onto Nifty. Struggled last time in the one-on-one. At this time, he has to pull off a 1v2 only with the Deeg. And Exotic's there, wants to go for the revenge, but Exotic wins it out once more. And that Splyce into a 6th.
Good round from Renegades, though, overall. 3 kills, get the plant. And yeah, this round they'll have to sit out, so that'll allow Splyce to build back up, but still can't be feeling too comfortable. Almost were able to make it work. Ozza with that blind shot onto Roka really opened things up. 6-12. Splyce still not able to afford that AWP, and still when they buy these rifles or drop them over, money just goes into the Roka. See what I did there? Into the toilet? It was pretty good.
That was good, yeah. No, I like that. That was some good memory recall there, Jason. But here's something that I'm trying to think of a way to put recall in. And once again, just sort of jump the gun. But I tell you who hasn't jumped the gun. Davey. He's been able to find one early on. There's Jacob to go down. Drone's going to start to feel things out over here towards Ivy. Throws that nade in. That could find some good damage. Nifty and JKS both going to get painted up with that one. in the early stages of the round. Not expecting too much here from Renegades, but some damage would be fantastic. They've already kind of been locked away from B as Davey just keeps this aggression going. Now he's got Roka here to trade things out if need be. And JKS trying to hold it. Now turns his attention to Pop Dog. Splyce don't have anyone here, so he's been allowed control of that for free. Makes some noise to try and bait Davey forward, but Davey doesn't fall for it. Davey shuts down JKS, and now the man advantage still in favor of Splyce. They're looking good here.
Yeah, as long as they don't take too much random deaths here at the end, as long as they avoid this deagle on Nifty. And they'll be up to 7, and they'll have some money. There's a good kill from Zodic. He's actually starting to get switched on here at the end of this game, and Roka with one more towards Ivy. And yeah, 4 players survive, build up money, and now comes another buy from the Renegade side of things, as their losing bonus builds up as well. Still in a situation where I don't think they'll be getting an AWP on Nifty. If he went for it, it'd obviously be Glass Cannon. It seemed like he was considering it and shies away. One of the utility, one of the armor as well. Zodic's up towards 21 kills, Davey at 17. So some of the big names on Splyce leading the way for them. Perhaps a chance why, or perhaps a reason why they have a chance into this game. Looks like Box Hall's control very quickly for Renegades as Jacob has already crossed over. Helpful pop flash from his teammate. Double op setup for the CT side. Renegades are going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, Semfis down here and Pop Dog going to try and contend with JKS and co. Exotic's actually going aggressive over towards main. Just spots out the first man. Exotic going to try and take this duel with Azza. He has to be careful because as he holds it close, Azza, all it takes is one peek. That could have changed things, but Exotic going to start to fade away. Peek comes through. Azza's now out in the open and there's no one here keeping an eye on this, so he can actually look to wreak some havoc. He starts to peek on over. Exotic. But any second now the barrel's going to come into view. Azza doesn't spot it. Actually, Drone's going to find him, so he goes down. Man advantage taken for Splyce. Rotations can come through over toward B pretty quickly. You've got Semfis sitting in connector. Everyone nearby, so the flash is now going to start to pour in, but Roka's found the first. He's going to go back for more, and he's not done yet. A second picked up. Davey up on the rafters. Does miss that shot, but Semfis is there to pick up the pieces, and now it's all on Nifty. 1 versus 4. And Semfis won't let that happen.
That was so weird. Ozzo's crosshair was like right on his head and he still didn't catch a glimpse. Unfortunate. That's way too much space being given up to that main yard to allow Ozzo to do that. Different situation, different scenario, and they actually get punished for that. Either way, solid hold from Roka. Even though he's getting blind, he already has the lineup, but it's relatively easy to just spray through that smoke and still live afterwards. So Renegade's going to be back onto the CZs, and this time they're going to go for a half buy. They could have forced up an AKs with that plant, but they very obviously want to get the AWP out on Nifty. They're no longer in some kind of massive lead. It's 12-8, and that's really dwindled, and one more gun round loss, and we pretty much have a tight tie game. So Renegades have to be careful, as this has happened pretty quickly. Probably just now realizing the danger. CZs, pop flash for lower ramp. That'll force Davey back when it comes in. He's going to be blind, throws out the Molotov. You still has beat it. The no-scope not going to work, and they swarm him. They get in there very quick. Roka got to hold down. That's a good kill on Ustila, but already getting new angles. Missing the spray, though, and overextended because of it. And now Semfis, a job to do, but they've already dropped in behind the smokes, and Jacob looks like he wants to make a play. Molotov in towards connector, waiting and biding his time. So is Ozza coming right through. Pop flash from his teammate. Easy kill for him. And these trades all favor the T side. Things get much easier for them as these kills come through. And they've done it, Renegades. They've turned this round. They've turned the half 13-8. They prevent Splyce from getting any farther in this run and maintain a lead.
Yeah, and you kind of feel like it was maybe a weird choice to have Davey there with the AWP so close, you know, up against an ecoing Renegades, because he goes down and that gives them quite a big foothold into the site, and it also throws the AWP the way of Nifty. And if there was one gun you kind of wouldn't want to give anyone on that team in an eco if you're Splyce, it's definitely the AWP onto him, because he's looked fantastic. They've gone for the double AWP buy once again. Nifty's already out though, and that aggression, Exotic is nowhere near ready for that. And Nifty's going to go back for more. He's not done yet. Does get found by Sempis. Jacob going to drop out Davey in the meantime. He once again goes down on this aggression over at B. And that now throws Sempis into the firing line. Roka's going to fall, and Sempis doing what he can. Tries to lock down this B bomb site, but he has his work cut out for him.
All he has to do is buy time. Drone is in ladder room for a quick flank. I don't know if Ustillo, he's aware of the possibility, so because it's a 4-on-2, Ustillo is still just going to stick around and watch for this, and yeah, this will be an easy kill. Sempis, if he was able to get 1 or 2 frags, might have been able to pull Ustillo in to open up that flank, but he misses some difficult shots, and I think that's about the end of the road for Splyce's economy, down to right around 2,000. And Renegades now looking to run away and clean this one up, wrap it up, be done for the evening here at ESL Pro League with 2 wins.
Such a shame as well, because Splyce, not only did they look better, but we all stood to be very, very rich when Pimp had to give over his entire savings if Splyce won.
Yeah?
Because that was a verbal contract. I don't know if you recall.
Do verbal contracts hold?
Well, in esports, no. So there we go. His drone already pushing through in the meantime, though. He's waiting in that smoke, and it might be good for him. He's going to start to push on out, and actually that flash is perfect. He's found himself one. Is he ready for Ustillo, who resides on the other side? Players pushing in from all angles. Ustillo finds them both, and that is a man advantage suddenly flipped back in favor of Renegades. Azza, look at it. Look at this. How's he got so far out? Roka's got no clue that there is a man so far down. And while he is alive, they've given up so much ground that it's going to be very tricky. Roka falls, and now it's all on Davey.
Yeah, some nice kills, some nice shots. Davey, the only one left, goes for this fight. No need to be taking that JKS, and Renegades left the bomb towards T-spawn. Lucky they're not still playing with Sponge, as that is probably the single most triggering event of playing Counter-Strike with Sponge, is if someone leaves the bomb far back. Bomb will get planted, though an element of danger, as they would have had to make the trek and do open space, so Davey could have had a chance to stop that if he had known, but either way, he's given himself an opportunity. 1 versus 1. It's Nifty, though, with a long-range fight, and Nifty's going to love peeking into that. 15-8. Dun, dun, dun.
And now for Splyce, they're going to be buying into this. They're putting everything they can into this one round, and it could be the end of the road for them. You know, it was a nice attempt there from Davey. He gets it close into the one-on-one. But ultimately, at that range, when you're up against Nifty, it's never going to happen. So now, going to be setting up with 4 players over here towards A for Splyce. They might even try to hand it some aggression. They send Roka over into Pop, and oh, it's all down to where it spreads. Drone is going to fall in the meantime down in Ivy. Roka does manage to stay alive for the time being. But already, look at this. They're aggressing into Ivy. Exotic's here. He has a crossfire set up with Sempis, but they've got their work cut out for them. This is never going to be easy.
Nice kill from Jacob as he swings out. Smoke isolates Exotic. And we'll see where they go from here. Bomb train being taken over by Renegades as we speak. Exotic still here. That's a great headshot. Going to go back in for Nifty, but gets caught by Azza trying to disappear into the smoke, and that's it. It's just Davey remaining. This is going to be at 16-8 will be the final score in the favor of Renegades. Is really no difficulty across both of these maps. Cash was dominant, Train dominant again, and really Splyce some pretty weak first halves that never allowed them to get into things. This looked better, but still not ideal. So your boys going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, but the boys certainly do not. They looked good there, 16-8 as you said. That is fantastic stuff from them.
I mean, Renegades has now gotten to that point, I feel, where they're strong enough to where this is a team they should beat. Either way, I'm sure the analysts and Trace have plenty to say about that. So, listen, earn that paycheck.
Analyst and Trace, as if I guess I don't really have a title, but that's completely fine. We'll let them have their little bit of time off because they will be right back here sooner than you could say there's sandwiches in the fridge, because there are. But don't tell them that. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to something a little bit more dreary, and that would be a Splyce performance tonight. Boys, where do we begin with the Splyce lineup overall?
It's tough, right? Like, again, the one shining point, I guess, would be Exotic. He had a much better train showing than what we saw in Cash. Again, that could be said for the better part of the Splyce team. But outside of that, there's not really a whole lot to hold on to, really. Hard to build a lot of enthusiasm around what you're seeing as of right now, because they are just kind of getting handled.
Handled.
Yeah, and
not the good type of handled.
No,
right?
not the good kind at all.
What is a good type?
Yeah, is there a good type of handled?
That could be.
Go on. What do you think is a good type of handle?
I'll leave that for later.
Okay, fair enough. We can do that in between segments. Talk to me about this manhandling, though, that Splyce did just receive. Albeit a much better showing on Train than in the first map, but what do you take, Pim?
Wouldn't even say it was a better showing. I think Renegades were in full control the entire time. Again, Splyce only managed to pull 2 rounds together in a row at the end of the half, and then the first 4 rounds on the CT side as well, but that's to be expected. It could easily have been a 16-2, 16-3 in that fact. So just the same as we saw on the first map Cash as well, Renegades being in full control, and as you said, like it's hard to pinpoint where you can see Splyce going from here. They're just outmatched. There's nobody on that lineup who could match them. Exotic had a decent game, Davey had a better game than Cash for sure, but again, it doesn't matter if 2 players have a decent game when you're still losing 16-8 and the rounds are not even close in that matter. So I'm having a hard time seeing what Splyce can do to turn the shape around. They're just not ready to play on this level, and they gotta fight for not relegating or not going down to the relegations in that sense. Renegades is a team that is fighting for top 6. Splyce is a team that is fighting to avoid going into relegation.
Well, we're not quite in relegation yet, but again, no team wants to find themselves there, no matter the circumstances around relegation. Splyce Renegades, you will see a stark difference in the numbers here. But talk to me about what you're seeing, Halvor.
I mean, obviously the 2 big things that stand out is the ADR on Drone and Semphis. We talked about how Semphis, an experienced player, should be able to deliver more. Exotic and Davey wants to are like having good games, but again, it's like if you're not matching up well, just pound for pound versus your opposition, you need all 5 to be able to perform. And in this case, you see, even though 2 do step it up from the previous game, it's just not anywhere near enough. And yeah, it's a bit of a mess. And you mentioned Roka at the start of the game. We kind of needed to go out and actually just frag people. Was not able to do so as well. So for Splyce, it's hard to really get anything developed on their T side at all. You can't necessarily play that puggy style when you're losing out in every duel. And when your default executes gets too generic or too easy to read, then a team of Renegades caliber is not going to have any issues of actually shutting that down.
It's kind of like the instructions on an iron. Can be a little difficult to read. Can't they, Halvor? I'm kidding. But we can look a little bit over on the Renegades side. Nifty had a slower start to the day, did find a considerable amount of successes in AWP or here on Train. Talk to me about, I guess, Nifty in the come-up, because we do know that he's also the in-game leader.
One of the players that is, I say, fairly new to this type of spotlight. I think Nifty has improved a lot as a player as of lately. Together with this Renegade lineup, he's pretty much been the constant that's been constantly getting better, as well as Renegades got better. So I feel he has a lot to achieve in that one. Like, he's the in-game leader for this team, and he has a lot of pride in the fact that Renegades have gotten as good as they have. I feel the way he plays with the AWP is somewhat spectacular as well. He's a very how do you say that, flashy player, in that sense. He does a lot of wouldn't necessarily say stupid, but risky moves, and he somehow finds a way to manage that and balance it between actually being a great player, being the in-game leader, and also do some sort of like risky Roka moves in that sense, where it doesn't necessarily make sense, but he makes it work anyway, and it doesn't harm his team, and that's a very tough balance to find, and I think that's pretty cool about Nifty that he found that with this team.
I think that's actually one of the more exciting things about Nifty, the fact that oftentimes you talk about flashy offers, and that's not a positive thing. We've seen it with Henny, Michaelella, like these kind of offers who do create highlight reels, but they don't necessarily win you the rounds, or they might win you that round, but over the course of a game, they're a net negative more often than not, which is a bit of a shame, obviously, because they do have the talent and they possess all the skill sets required to be a great player, but their decision making is at times flawed. And with Nifty, you don't see that as often in that sense. And again, it comes back to the comparison that Fallen. Really, that Sean Gears made, and Fallen even said himself, that he kind of sees himself a little bit in Nifty. The fact that it's measured risk, and he doesn't necessarily overstep his boundaries too often to the point where it actually is a detriment to his team, which is an extremely fine line to walk. But he's doing it surprisingly well and surprisingly often as well. That fine line being the one where he can find himself overextended a little bit, grabbing kills or not grabbing them and potentially putting his team in a bad place. Yeah. But is this something where the risk outweighs the reward? Or obviously there's the 50-50 chance that he just goes down the beginning of the round and then you have a 5v4 right off the bat. I do think it's something about knowing that you're going up against a player like that as well does put a bit of a afterthought into your opponent, obviously. If you know that you have a bit of an unknown quantity on the side of Renegades that could kind of show up in those kind of moments, it does make it awkward to play versus. I mean, you would know that having played versus a fair amount of very aggressive players, etc. The fact that you can't necessarily feel at ease at any given point on the map, regardless of how passive you're playing, because Nifty could be, out and about on an own adventure, trying to find openings, and that makes it difficult to play. Versus, I think, when you're good enough to take those decisions, and actually you don't overextend all the time, right? And you do find that fine balance, it's a bigger benefit to your team than it is a detriment. And I think that's what he's done so well, and that's one of the big reasons why we're seeing Renegades actually improve so much.
Well, some closing words before we go to a quick break, and I'm going to open the microphone up to you now, Pimp. What is the absolute diagnosis here, Doctor? What do we say about this Splyce lineup?
I mean, we can take two things away from this one. One is Splyce needs to get back on the practice server, or even back to the deathmatch server. I think, honestly, they just need to get better, player for player and as a team. And you do that by playing the game. You do that by practice. And I don't know what and how they practice right now, but it's not working for them. And again, I'm not going to be too hard on them, but it's a little bit of a disappointment to see them playing in that Champions League and doing so poorly. So got to step it up a little bit. On the other hand, Renegades continuing their great shape. It seems like it's a team that is coming here to stay. They're establishing themselves as a team you can rely on in terms of making top 6 every single season. And I would be highly surprised if we don't see Renegades at the Pro League finals in Dallas.
I believe that's a pretty fair assessment. I believe that the Renegades are also on their way to the Pro League finals in Dallas. But we do have a little bit more of a season before we get there. We're going to be going into a short break, and when we come back, we've got a little bit of Liquid and Dignitas squaring off on 2 maps. So make sure you're here with us when we come back.